I made an innocent, seemingly non-offensive joke today, asking someone when they're going to have a baby, when they're going to get pregnant, that it was their turn because someone else was having a baby. So that was the discussion. And so I joked, "Oh, you're next. You need to have a baby. You know how everybody tells you need to have a baby. Like that's our mission or purpose in life." And after I told her this, she got really offended, and the whole energy of the room changed, and she was upset with me, and I couldn't figure out why, and I still don't know why. Obviously, it's something very personal. I touched a sensitive subject, and I thought to myself, you know what? It seems oftentimes pointless to talk. Um, my friend told me her priest said 99% of what we say is unnecessary. And I thought, maybe it's not 99%, maybe 90%, 80% of what we say is unnecessary. And how much grief we could eliminate of stepping on other people's fragile egos and defense mechanisms and the whole personality dysfunction and neurotic behavior if we just kept silent and listened. Now, this would be very difficult for extroverts, probably. They thrive on talking and social interaction. But I think as an introvert, or to the introverts out there, sometimes we cause more internal turmoil or disruption or unnecessary angst by speaking because we feel that's what is expected of us. And that is the way to climb up and gain social graces and approval. And that's what everybody does. Everybody blah 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 blah. And this non-stop noise pollution that contaminates office spaces, social gatherings, interactions with friends, and how uncomfortable we are at silence. And yet silence is absolutely beautiful. It cuts through all the BS, and you really can communicate with somebody's energy level by not speaking, by just being, and being there with them and for them. And if they want to talk, listening. And so after this incident today, I thought, why speak? Now some people go to the extreme and they never speak. And that's not for me. But I think, wouldn't it be a powerful statement if we chose our words carefully and we communicate, when we did communicate it had some punch, some power, some impact, some force, some energy. And it wasn't just kind of swatted away like a fly. Most people, when they speak, it's just the other people are just swatting away, or it goes in one ear, out the other, because it's just non-stop, and 80% of it is just non-essential. So the mind gets very clever on tuning out what most people say, and that's why most people have difficulty focusing and paying attention, because there's just so much drivel. But for the introvert, and maybe for a few extroverts out there, it's for our own well-being to just practice being, observing, listening. Because usually when we speak, there's this subconscious or even conscious desire for approval. Like the uncomfortable feeling if you're trying to tell a joke and nobody laughs, or you tell a story and you fub it up and you stumble over your words, or people look at you strange, or if you say something or do something embarrassing. So the ego is perpetually in offense and defense. It's trying to one up other people, and then defense is trying to defend itself from the arrows or disapproval from other people. So our whole personality, or our whole essence of who we are, gets mangled because it's not a true reading of who we are, because the ego just overrides authenticity. It steals our personality, and our personality is now shaped and formed by what gains approval and what avoids disapproval. And that's just natural human evolution. Just this desire to be accepted, to be liked. It's so deeply ingrained within us from a very young age. And it's not something that you could turn off with conscious thought and say, okay, I'm not going to care what other people think. It's too deep. It's just much deeper than that. I remember seeing a video on YouTube of Phil Jackson, who's into Zen, and many consider like would be awakened or enlightened or aware about these things. And there was a scene where he was trying to high five Kobe Bryant, so he had his hand out here, and Kobe didn't see him or didn't high five him for whatever reason. And instead of just going, oh well, he tried to play it off like he didn't want to look stupid, so he went like this and touched his head. And I thought, here's a man who is so successful, so powerful in the NBA, and just commands respect by just solely based on his accomplishments, not alone, let alone his presence. And here needs to defend the ego because he's afraid of being embarrassed, of not getting a return high five from Kobe and looking foolish. I guess that's just one of the most awkward things, is when you put your hand out to someone and they don't shake your hand, and you're just left like this, or you high five someone and they don't reciprocate. And I thought, yeah, this guy should know better, but it's beyond conscious thought. It is just deeply, deeply ingrained within us, this need for approval. And I believe it's evolutionary, because in order to survive, even 500, 300, 400 years ago, you needed to be part of a group. You needed to be accepted. And if you were ostracized from the group, your survival was in jeopardy. And today that's no longer true, but yet those ingrained habit patterns, or the evolution within us, continues of this need to seek approval. And so many people think, how do I get approval? Well, I'll just talk. I'll tell people about my accomplishments. I'll gossip, and people will be interested in that. I'll make fun of other people, talk about television shows, or finding a superficial way to get this deep inner craving that we long for. And if we keep silent and just practice in those moments of silence, of being present, of either connecting with our breath, listening to the other person, or observing our thoughts, and just more in the role of an observer instead of always needing to be on. Because needing to be on is exhausting. Your mind is constantly calculating, okay, what can I say to get the best result, to have my boss think this about me, how to have my partner or to have my friends not think that about me. And it's the defense offense. It's like a never-ending football game that leads to exhaustion. And I find that when I'm silent, that those internal battles are no longer taking place, and you can kind of just rest in bliss and peacefulness in a relaxed state. And furthermore, people respond to it because so few people listen, and other people are really will take a liking to you, not by the words you say, but by the energy and the interest and the centeredness that you exhibit. It's just amazing to have a conversation with someone that's genuinely interested in what we have to say. And it's not even that you have to be interested in the words. You're interested in their being, in their spirit, so to speak, in their presence. And also, you find when I'm in people that are present and listening and have a quietness about them, it's also very peaceful to listen to them. It's very relaxing. You feel calm. You trust them more because they're not trying to put on a show. The masks are down, and they're just being real with you. And I just think that's the complete opposite way that we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to be active. You want something, you got to be proactive. You got to get it. You got to show people that you're serious. You got to be motivated. You got to impress people. And it's a burden. It's a heavy burden to carry that drives people. That's why people love to drink, because they can be in social situations without the battles of the ego. And so it's freeing, but we don't need to drink. We can just listen, just be present, and be silent, speak less. And what I find happens is also in our mind, the monkey mind that's constantly going and telling us what we should do or what we should say, that kind of inner censor also takes a break, relaxes, and doesn't hold the immense power over us that it usually does, because we're not engaging it, we're not activating it, because we're not speaking, or we're speaking just very little, and just making the words count. So I'd be interested in hearing from your comments for those of you that have tried this or will try this in the future. As always, thank you very much for listening, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.